Hello, welcome. My name is Tanya Tenica Patxot, and I am the host of the Igniting Clarity Show. I'm very excited to have Alexandra. I feel like I have to say it exotically because she's such when you hear her accent, it's so exotic. I love it. I love it. I laugh because they're like, "Oh yeah, I like your accent." I think somebody had told me that, and I'm thinking, "What?" But again, I love to, I've been in business for almost 15 years, and I absolutely love to just deep dive the behind the scenes, bring other guests on to talk about all aspects of just being a business owner, entrepreneur, and the journey. So, Alexandra, would you please introduce yourself?
Hi, Tanya. Thank you for having me here. So, my name is Alexandra Di Gesaro. I'm a fashion photographer, writer, and entrepreneur. I didn't know you love my accent. I didn't know it's so exotic. Anyway, I come from Poland, but I live in Milan, Italy.
Wow, that was a good transition because what made you move to Italy? Is that through the fashion photography or?
No, it was love. I never actually wanted to move, but I moved to join my then fiance and now my husband.
Awesome, awesome. So I know that when we were talking, we spoke about how you started going on your journey in photography. Um, I remember being a photographer and it has its ups and downs. I remember liking the fashion part though. I started photographing models and boudoir, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. Um, I think it just kind of got a little exhausting, which it can. What got you into photography and in that industry?
So I like taking pictures since I got my first digital camera when I was 13. I was taking pictures of everything. I just never really considered it could be my job. I graduated law school, and yes, I also studied as another faculty. I studied photography, but I was like, okay, it was just for my pure pleasure. It was a hobby. I just wanted to improve my skills, and that's why I studied it. But then I moved to Italy and I discovered that the job market in Italy was completely different than in Poland. And for months I struggled to find a job. So I just thought, okay, it can't go any worse than it already is. So I may as well try to do what I actually love and see how it goes. And so I decided for fashion photography because in during 3 years of my photography school, I've tried many kinds of photography, street photography, portrait, landscape, you name it. And I just enjoyed taking pictures of models the most. I was doing my own photo shoots, and yes, I love travel photography. I like street photography, but what I was enjoying the most was the fashion photography. So when I decided to pursue this career, it was quite clear to me that it should be fashion photography.
I like what you said. I've been noticing a trend in speaking to individuals that have reached that place of clarity, which is they they started off as one thing and then they kind of launched off into another as they allowed themselves to grow. But the core of who they are never changed, right? So you're just naturally were creative. You naturally are one that obviously would see things in a different light. And no matter whether a lawyer or whether a photographer, no matter what you do, the core of who you are, that never changed. The call
Yes,
that
it's true.
that gift that God gave you never changed, but the outlet in which you express it changed. And I want to talk about that because a lot of individuals will look at like I'm called to business, but you're not called to business. That is just your vehicle. And now you do you want to teach other people that it can be profitable and the stepping stones, but it's because you've been through some things and now you want to leave a legacy, you want to help, and you just enjoy it. So once you learn, you teach. It's just a natural kind of method. So can you talk about, did you have any issues mentally transitioning saying I spent so much time doing law and now I'm going to go do photography. Did that mess with your mind at all?
Well, to be honest, well, maybe a bit because I was brought up in a very traditional environment, but I always knew I was feeling somehow different, that I didn't really like this life, that, like in one of my favorite movies, there's a quote, there was nobody whose life I wanted. And that's exactly how I felt. So it just, maybe I'm not sure if I would take the courage to do it, to do this transition if I would stay in Poland and get a corporate job. But in this moment, it was just so, I was in such a bad position, it just couldn't go any worse. So I was like, okay, I give myself, let's say, 2 years. I'm still young. I was 26 at the time. No, I'm 25. So I can, I give myself 2 years. And if it doesn't work, I just come back and I retry with this legal career or corporate career. But like you say, that you stay true to yourself and what you have this something inside you. For example, I started being interested in business when I was around 20, and I never knew how to. I was trying to do various things, but I never could find this one thing that I really wanted to do in business. And later I started photography and I was loving it, but I was always feeling there was something missing. Like I didn't feel that I'm giving something like really strong to the world. Even if you can say, but photography gives so much, it gives pleasure, it makes women feel more empowered, it does this, it does that. And I was telling myself all these things, but they just didn't arrive. I didn't feel it. And then like half a year ago, it suddenly clicked and I realized that what is my business is fashion photography and teaching artists how to become full-time artists, how to make money on doing what they love and having the life that they love. And this is something that really empowers me. When I read that 70% of people hate their jobs, I was like blown away. And I realized how many of those people are artists, are creatives who just never even try. I have friends who do the legal studies and do other things, and they are clear, I would love to be a cook or I would love to do something else, but it's risky. It just doesn't have a chance, so I don't even try. And it was so heartbreaking for me. And so, and in this teaching, I found this real, mixing of photography and teaching. I found this real purpose for myself. So I think it's a process that you finally arrive to your clarity, but if you don't start the process and if you don't start doing anything, you will never arrive there.
I like it. It's that one step at a time. And you had this like dissatisfaction and you were willing to continuously pursue. And I'm really excited that you are out there doing that for the creatives, for those individuals, because there's a lot of individuals that do amazing artwork, but they believe that they can't be successful. They believe that they can't do make a living or more. I think we all want to not just make a living but have more, right? So I really like the fact that you're stepping out, and that's really needed in the creative space, because I remember my thought process was just like, oh my gosh, I don't want to have to do weddings. I don't want to have to do all these edits. I don't want to, like, at one point after so many years, my hand started hurting, my neck started hurting. Being on my feet for, 15 hours was exhausting. And I was like, there has to be another way. And so there was that transition, but it's like what you said, it's the process. So I like the process part that you yielded to. Is there anything in that time, in that process? Can you name some trigger points, some things that I know everybody has a different flow, a different what you do first might be what I do third. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What were a few things that you could leave the audience with that were like stepping stones for you? Things that you realized in the process that you had to do?
Well, that's quite a hard question because obviously it's a process, so it's difficult to realize the key points. I guess somehow, somewhere inside me, I've known for years that I don't want to have a normal job. I just never really articulated it, neither to myself, because it seemed so improbable and like crazy in the environment I was in. So the first step, I think, was realizing this thing. And also because of my life situations, I said I wasn't earning, I wasn't getting any job offers. I was really depressed also because, you know, I have three faculties, I speak five languages, and when I didn't even get an interview for a secretary, I was like, okay, or I'm the biggest crap of the universe, or there's something wrong here.
Oh no.
And so I think it was one of the key points when I was like, hey, you know, I all the time doing all these things, studying law, searching for a job. I felt like I'm losing time. And so if I feel like I'm losing time, I am losing time. So let's try doing something that is not a waste of time. And so the first thing was that I didn't want a life like anybody else. The other was not to waste time and just try to follow my intuition and what feels right for me, and just kept searching. I think this thing of listening to your inner self, it may seem cliche, I don't know how to say it, but in fact it's something that totally works. You know, my dad once told me, you know, all the bad decisions I've made in my life were those that were not aligned with my intuition. And it was a lesson for me, and I started following this way of thinking, and it just started flowing. And it's difficult to name exactly the steps. At some point, just things clicked.
But in you talking, you did name the steps. I teach on intuitive branding. And the one thing that, I would say is that you said is you surrendered. You recognized, and then you surrendered to the process. So whatever it took, and you gave yourself a timeline. You said, all right, I'm going to give myself 2 years to focus, fully dedicate, not play around, not do whatever, but I'm going to fully dedicate myself to the process of whatever it takes to explore and go through. And the intuitive part, we usually feel somewhere inside of us, that direction that we need to go into. God speaks to us in that way. And so, I think though that the world could make us feel very insecure. And so if we're going to leave anybody with anything, listening, put everything away. I like to say go fast, essentially. Go, take away everything. Get off of social media. If you run a business, what I usually do is I'll schedule all of my social media and all the things that need to be done. I'll even schedule lives and all that stuff for a few days, and I'll take a break. I like to take the weekends to reset. And so I shut off all the other voices and write down all those different things. And your brain is wired to answer questions. So if you just say, what is it that I really want? And you just start writing those things down, and those are your boundaries. Those are where you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was good. Like, you said, this is my boundary. This is what I don't want. So I'm going to start following that intuition and just let it go. So I appreciate that, because that's one of the biggest things and the biggest steps that people need to take. But like what you said, I mean, you couldn't worry about what your family thought. You know what I mean? About how you were raised. You couldn't use any of those as excuses. You'd be a lawyer now and be like so unhappy. And eventually that would affect your marriage. It would affect, children. It would affect legacy. It would affect everything.
Yes, and like I was following what my family was telling me, and it wasn't working. So I had a way to show them, I did what you wanted, now it's time to do what I wanted. And I just wanted to add one thing to what you said, because you said you surrendered to the process. And it's funny because actually when I decided, okay, I give myself, let's say, 2 years to get any results as a fashion photographer, my motto became enjoy the process. Like not like expect stellar results in a month. Enjoy
Yeah.
what you're doing, enjoy the process.
Yeah, like that's usually when I've realized when I meet with individuals and I do like clarity sessions, it's so funny because I can see where they are and why they're not succeeding in business or marketing or whatever because they're so focused on numbers and that's good. You need to be obviously aware of those. But if you mess up on a pricing or if you need to go higher in pricing, that'll come along the way. Your focus should be showing up fully in everything that you do and enjoying the process because that's when you grow the most, not at the end when you look back and you're like, oh, I made it. We don't ever,
Yeah,
we don't really,
definitely.
how often do we do that? Like seriously, I don't remember a time where I've succeeded and been like, oh my gosh, I made it. I remember being like, wow, I am not the same person. Wow, I learned so much. Wow, I didn't expect this.
Definitely. Like, sometimes you think, oh my God, if I would get this, I would jump through the roof. I would be so happy. But for example, I published a book, I published a novel. And, when I was writing, imagining to keep the hard copy of my book in hand seemed like insane. It seemed, oh my God, I would cry. But then it was except 3 years of writing. Later there was the editing process of 2 years, and it was so long, and it was so, step by steps, like corrections. Later the design of the cover, other modifications, then plan of the release date, then this, then that. Then I saw the pictures, and then I finally got the copy. That when I got the copy, it was like something natural that I got this hard copy of my book, because the process was so long and was preparing me for this moment that it wasn't such a breaking point anymore, because it just came so naturally. And I experienced it with a few things in my life. So this thing, oh my God, I just want to achieve this. No, it just doesn't, it's just a process. It just takes time, and it's great. It feels great when it happens, but it's not such a breakthrough as we imagine.
Oh my gosh. It is so, so true. I love it. I love it. Um, I'm telling you, I'm okay. Anybody listening, or watching, we're laughing because we understand now. So when we set goals, it's very different. It's very different. In the end, we're not setting goals to accomplish this one thing. We're realizing that they're milestones, they're stepping stones. It's not this end all be all. Oh my gosh, I've arrived and you know what I mean? It's like, okay, this is the step to the process. And the end result is me one step closer to what I love to do. Help people create, bring clarity, whatever it is, help launch photographers out there, help them, identify what industry they want to be in or however the case may be. That's the end result. And that end result never stops because that's
Yeah,
what you're
definitely.
looking for. It's that satisfaction of, oh my gosh, I just helped somebody. Like my most satisfying moments, and then you tell me yours, my most satisfying moments are not at the end, but when I have a clarity session with somebody or when I see them, they send me an inbox or something like that, and they have that aha moment that has not just been like aha, but they've actually changed and transformed. And I know that all I've been through has brought them another human being to a breakthrough moment. There is nothing more satisfying than that. No product, no launch. Like that is my drug. It's like, oh my gosh, God, like there, it's just like this purpose that you're just like, that's what it is. And so to the day I die, I don't care if I'm in the hospital bed. I don't care if I'm at the bookstore. I don't care where I'm at. Those moments are beautiful for me. Tell us what one of
Yes.
your moment.
Well, I definitely agree with what you say. One of my biggest goals in life is that at the end of my life, I can say I don't regret anything. And that's also how I work every day. And one of such moments you're talking about, such most beautiful moments I had even like an hour ago, when I'm mentoring one painter on Facebook, and I'm writing, and he has a difficult life situation. He was very much back with delivering paintings to his clients. And I was just motivating him, helping him organize, telling him how to do things. And today he wrote me, thanks to you, I'm finally doing things. Even if I have less time than I thought, than I expected, it's finally moving. It's not just that I'm thinking about it, I'm finally doing things. And I was like, great, I'm so happy to hear it. Like, keep me posted about your updates, how you're doing. And he told me, writing you how I'm doing is sometimes the reason why I do these things. It's like the most motivating thing, and it's the thing that pushes me forward. And it was just amazing, because when I started talking to him, he was really, really miserable. Another moment is when somebody read my book for artists, and they told me, finally, I'm not scared to sell my art anymore, and I'm so excited for the future. And
Wow.
no, even if clients loved my pictures or things, it's nothing comparable to this feeling that you really made a difference and improved the life of somebody else.
Absolutely. We're both in definite agreement. So, we talked about submitting to the process. We talked about, yes, you're looking at the end result, but really just enjoy what you're doing. That's what submitting to the process is. And really finding out what's the end result of what really brings you the most joy. Because now it's not about this end result of I'm going to be A, B, and C. But it's this end result of every day I have the opportunity to have that feeling, of success. I don't care if you just started, but those are those moments of success. And so if we can focus on those and how we operate in that moment, you're going to show up very differently than if you would show up for the funds, or scared because you can't pay a bill, or you really want this to work, or whatever. It just, that's building out of fear, and it's very difficult to succeed that way. So thank you, Alexandra, for taking the time to open up yourself and share those different aspects of your growth process. How can we find you? Because there's a lot of creatives out there that need to really be able to not just create, but know that they can sell their artwork or get creative with courses and other things.
So you can definitely reach out to me through my website, which is alexandragalert.com. It's Alexandra with KS, GALERT.com. You can also find me on Instagram. It's the same, alexandragalert.com. On Instagram, it's Alexandra Galert. And I'm also on Facebook, but I think it's the easiest when you reach out to me through my website, and you just connect and see everything that I teach. There's my blog that I post on regularly, and I just hope it helps and help another person move forward.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking your time with me. You will see all of her information on the blog, and I usually post it all around whenever I am displaying our episodes. Again, thank you so much for taking your time and giving your wisdom. I honor you for that. My name is Tanya Patxot. I am the host of the Igniting Clarity Show.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Thanks.